Hey, good evening. So Untitled Freight got the 80-watt soldering iron, and you get the base, the iron, the stand for the iron, and these are plastic, but doesn't seem to bother them to have the heat on them. You also get 3 tips. I do a lot of different types of soldering, so I keep more than 3, and I keep some spares here. Here's an example. This has more of a blunt end. This has more of a sharp end. If you work on a surface mount, this comes in handy. And there's a lot of different ones of these. So order some now. They use 900M tips. The part number dictates how they mount. So this here has to come off. I was just using this, so I want to try not to burn myself. Okay, so undo this and a shield comes off. It's a retainer clip. So here's a tip, a retaining sleeve, and there's the actual element that heats up, and it heats up really fast. So take your tip, put it on. That one fits pretty snug. They usually don't fit quite that snug. And put the sleeve back over it, tighten it up. And that's that easy. Now if you run your iron too hot, it'll burn the coating off of the end and you'll be replacing tips. So it has this 5-pin DIN connector, and it only goes in one way. So it's pretty simple to set up. Plug it into the wall, you're ready to go. If you ever want to know how to change the tip, they give you the directions right here. And you just turn it on. It'll go to the last setting you had, and you can see that was 640. And it heats up pretty quickly. See, I just turned that on and it's going pretty fast. And that is a measure of how much heat's being applied. It was maximum heat while it was heating up, and now it's going to apply just enough heat to keep it at 640. There's 3 presets, and you just hit the button and they come up. 660, 752, you can see that come on full. It got to 750 that fast, stabilized. It's going to be okay now. If I want to go back down, it actually cools off fairly quick too. And say that I have a custom setting that I want to do. So I'll go to 700. Say I want to do 850. Why the hell I'd want to do 850 is beyond me. See, it scales up. So just hold that in and it goes fast. Hold it in. Get close and then hit it one at a time. So I want to go to 760. I just push and hold. Now it's set as a preset. So there's 752, 660, 761. And this isn't meant to save an endless number of temperatures. It's to set at 3 temperatures that are like center of everything you use, so it makes it more convenient. I go to 660, but I really want 40. I'll still keep that at 660 because sometimes I'll go 670. Temperature adjustment is very fast, and with this sensor, you know that it's stable. As soon as you turn it on, put some solder on the tip, and then take off the excess. So the longer you keep that shiny, the longer the coating's going to last. When you see that get dull, it needs to be cleaned. And I'm very careful to not leave it sit for long periods of time while I'm soldering. If you hit all 3 at once, it goes in locks. That means you can't adjust the temperature. And to unlock it, you hold all 3 buttons in again. Now we got some settings. So hold these 2 buttons in at the same time. And it goes to calibrate, fin, and CF. CF's pretty obvious. Do I want F or C? So Fahrenheit or Celsius, I actually like Fahrenheit. So there we go. So if I go into this and I look at what it is, the options, and I decide on one, I hold that in, and there, it saved it. Okay, on calibrate, it wants me to enter a temperature. And that's an adjustment. I know that I set it for 660, but if I measure that with a very accurate thermometer and it says 662, well, that damn thing times out pretty quick, don't it? So if I want to tell it that it's actually 2 degrees off. And then now it should be correct. If you don't have a really accurate thermometer, it's kind of hard to do that. I'm not real big on setting a temperature and staying there. When I go to solder, the tip I have on and what I'm soldering can change the ideal temperature. Sometimes I want it a little hotter, sometimes I want it a little cooler, and I adjust that based on how the solder is melting. I did a preset for 523, which is just lower, less likely to burn up the tip while we're sitting here. So I go into this, and the second one is fin. Fin is a little deceiving. It's off and on. Well, what does that mean? Well, if it's on, temperature will go up and down on the scale when you adjust it by 1 degree. If you put it off, it'll go 5 degrees. And you press and hold to set that. So CF, I hit that and it's Fahrenheit or Celsius. I like Fahrenheit, so hold the button to save it. There we go. Now it has a second menu and you just hit the down arrow to hit the second one. This is standby. How long do I want this thing to go on standby? So you can do 1 to 120 minutes. Second menu. This is automatic shutdown. So how long do I want to use it before it shuts down? So say I want it to shut down in 40 minutes regardless of what's going on. Now that'll work. 40 minutes later it's going to turn off and you can't turn it back on. You have to turn the switch off and back on. BL. Sound. I don't know how BL equals sound, but you hear the beeps in the menu. If I want that on or off. I want it on. If you want to get out of this menu, you go to the third menu and hit escape and you're out. Third menu, FAC, is factory settings. So you want to say on, save it, and you're back at factory settings. Quite a bit of options in there for a soldering iron. I like the display. I like to know it's not skipping around. If I set it for 572, I want it to be on 572. And if you're not sure of the temperatures that you want, usually what you're soldering, say you buy a kit, in the kit, it usually makes some recommendations. If it doesn't, get on Google and search what temperature should I use, and it'll give you some guidelines. Okay, this is a Harbor Freight hobby vise. I use it a lot. I buy these breakout boards, which will have a chip, and it'll pull out the signals that you need to the very edge. You solder on these headers and let you interface that usually to an Arduino. Could be anything. There are other uses in Arduino, and if you need to shorten these, they're break off. Now I need to solder these. You notice I've been taking this iron off of the stand and putting solder on the tip. You see, I didn't do it for a minute and it showed the bare tip. The more you let that solder burn off of there, the quicker you're going to ruin your tip. I'm actually going to turn this down a little. These are headers. I'm not that worried about them. If you go quick, you're not going to have a problem. If I was doing something like a microprocessor, maybe I would go a better temperature. So I'll do one in the center. The solder spot on the board with a pin coming up through it. If you cover that pad with solder, you probably have enough solder. If you can see the solder pad when you're done, you don't have enough solder. Okay, so I recommend this. It was 125 list. I think I used a 30% off store-wide coupon, so probably paid about $100 for it. But I wanted the digital display, so this is what I got. I wish the other one had a digital display, but then it wouldn't have been $30. Okay, so if you like the videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.